welcome to Ask Win, everyone. And, I didn't know if you guys knew this, but this month of April is National Poetry Month. So I got on a friend of mine, Annette, who I consider a friend. We've worked together for about 10 years now, on and off. And so she's a poet. I'm not a poet. Don't get that confused. Annette's the poet. Don't ask Win to be writing poetry now. So that's why I brought Annette on, because Annette has published several books now, but we're going to be talking about her latest book, and she's going to explain more of what she does, and we're going to have fun talking about Create Space and how easy it is to publish a book and that fun stuff. So without further ado, I'm going to let Annette take it away.
Well, thank you, Wynn. I appreciate this opportunity to come on your podcast and to share with people my love of poetry. And as you said, April is National Poetry Month, and it's been that for several decades. This is something that the American Association of Poets, and I probably got that incorrect, so I apologize. But anyway, if you look it up, April is National Poetry Month, it will take you to a site that gives you all kinds of resources, teachers, poets. People get great ideas about how to celebrate this month. One of the suggestions is that people write a poem every day. Another suggestion is that they go to poetry readings. And another suggestion is that on April 17th, it is something called Poem in Your Pocket Day, where you keep a copy of your favorite poem with you, and whenever you get the chance, you read it to whoever you're with, at a coffee house or at work. So lots of great ways to celebrate poetry, and I think that's kind of fun.
And you guys, I did not know April was National Poetry Month, although I did know that March was Disability Awareness Month. And no, I'm not a poet by any means. I probably should be. But, Annette, can you please explain to my fan base why you published your latest book, why you put blood, sweat, and tears into your latest book? Because last book I saw the cover of had, it looked like cats on it. I don't know what that last cover was I saw appear online out of you cats or what. So I want you to explain your latest book, though, and then we'll get back into the archives of your other books.
Sure, thank you. My latest book is called A Haiku Perspective, and the edition is 2018. I've published 4 books with that title, A Haiku Perspective 2015, 2016, 2017, and now 2018. And it is an entire year of my life of writing poetry in the style, the Japanese style, the Asian style of haiku, which is using only 17 syllables. You can use as many words as you need to, but they can only total 17 syllables. And then there are a few other, I don't want to say rules, but like requisites. For instance, the traditional Japanese poetry of haiku has 17 syllables, 3 lines, but it's very much about nature. And the lines connect with each other in a way, but they're more random, like see the frog, lily pad floats, sunlight through the trees. I mean, they really don't seem to match. And I didn't count the syllables. I'm just using examples of the randomness that I was addressing. Well, I use the style of 3 lines, and I use the count of 17 syllables, but my poetry isn't really technically haiku. I call it haiku. It's actually something called senru, which is a haiku, but it's about everyday life as opposed to nature. So my haiku perspective is 70-some pages long. I want to say about 75 pages long. And it's hundreds of poems that I wrote in the year 2017, and I assembled them in this book so that people could have it. And the cover of my book is actually a picture that my sister drew of a fairy. And the back is her hair, and the front is her face and her arm and her hand. And it's really a wickedly interesting cover. My sister is a fabulous artist, and I love to use her work in my books. So whenever I get the chance, I sort of hijack one of her pictures, and I say, hey, can I use this? And she's like, oh, yeah, sure, I don't care. So it's kind of fun. So that's what's on the cover. But one of the things that I want to mention that Wynn does not know, and I think this is so exciting for me. This is my 12th book, by the way, that I've self-published through CreateSpace. And I love using CreateSpace. I'll tell you the surprise in a minute because you did ask me to mention CreateSpace. CreateSpace is a division of Amazon. And what it does is it allows people like myself and Wynn who don't want to have to spend a lot of money to put a book into the Amazon marketplace as well as into bookstores like Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, so forth. It allows us the opportunity to do that because we can do it with little to no cost. And what I mean by that is if you do your own covers, which I do, if you edit your own books, which I do, and you lay them out, which I do, the only cost that I incurred publishing this book was to order a proof, and that cost me about $6. So for $6 or $7, I was able to publish this book, and I convert my books to Kindle. I learned how to do that 11 books ago, so I wasn't spending money on it left and right. And then I converted it to Kindle, so it's available in paperback and Kindle. And it's an amazingly easy way for somebody to put a book together because they have templates that you can fill in. They have customer service that is just outrageously helpful. And they're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which I find fabulous. But my book, A Haiku Perspective 2018, it became a #1 bestseller in Kindle on Easter Sunday, which was April 1st. I was so amazed because Wynn and I have worked together in other books that have become #1 bestsellers in Kindle, but not without the work of a lot of people, the 85 to 100 authors in the one book who were working tirelessly to get that book out there and get people to buy it and go back and leave reviews. And I woke up Easter Sunday morning and went and checked the stats, and I'd gone from #2 the night before to #1 Easter Sunday morning. So this book,
congratulations.
Thank you, a #1 bestseller. And I am thrilled. I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled.
I know, because you guys know this. You heard me speak about this before. My original biography, I, Wynn, became a #1 bestseller in 24 hours. God knows how I did that. I had no experience whatsoever, the experience I have now. I had no experience back then. I was dealing with grief. I practically wrote that book in a fog, as you guys know. That was the year the previous year, my biological mom died from meningitis and thoracic brain aneurysm. More truly meningitis than brain aneurysm because they plotted the brain aneurysm and she got meningitis from a bunch of hockey players. We're still to this day trying to figure that one out, and the hospital won't admit. So I wrote I Win in a fog. I used my power of writing to get through my grief in a fog, basically, and I Win became a #1 bestseller. So when you do become a #1 bestseller on your own, yeah, that's a huge accomplishment right there as compared to doing an anthology, which Annette and I don't do anymore because it's too much work, too many people, too many chefs in the cooking, lighting kitchen. Yeah, too many chefs. And the problem with anthologies, and I don't know if Annette agrees with me on this one, is that authors don't get paid. The authors don't get paid. The compilator does, and I'm looking for the right wording as I speak here. But the compilator does, and we have to pay a fee for to be in the book, and I have not gotten paid off of any anthologies I have done, but I started out on my own, hit number 1 on my own, and am trying to hit number 1 with my next book, Simply Silly. So I'm really pleased that Annette finally hit number 1. Is this your first number 1, Annette?
On my own, yeah. Yeah, and here's the odd thing. Back when you and I were part of the original anthology where we worked together for the first time on a book, there was a big process where Amazon sent a letter to the original publishing person or the person that did the compiling of the book, and also sent a JPEG, a photograph of a little gold sticker that says Amazon #1 bestseller. Well, they don't do that anymore. If you don't catch it, if you don't see it, if you're not watching the stats, you will not know that it hit #1 unless you catch it. And you need to take a screenshot of it to prove it to yourself. I mean, I didn't know how to take a screenshot, so I took a photograph. I just took my camera out and went click.
Yeah, well,
I didn't know what else to do.
That's too, Annette. That helps too. As long as you captured something with something on the day. Yeah.
And I did make a phone call because what alerted me to the fact that this book was doing something phenomenal was a friend of mine had contacted me. I wasn't going to release the book until the beginning of April for National Poetry Month. Then I realized, well, my sister's birthday is the beginning of March. So I decided, okay, fine, I'll release the paperback, which has a complete front and back cover, because Kindle books do not. They only have the front cover. I'll release the paperback book on her birthday, which I did, March 8th, so that it celebrated her National Women's Month and got the book out there, because the book had been done since the beginning of February. I was going to release it on Valentine's Day, and I stopped. I held back because I thought, let's do something to celebrate her, my sister who did the cover. Yeah. So we did that, and it was great. By the way. Oh, the cover is just phenomenal. Lorraine is such a talented artist. Thank you. And she, everybody loved it and said this was a great thing. And then a friend of mine, a fellow author, who can actually live off the sale of his books. I mean, this guy writes historical fiction, and he is brilliant. I love his writing. I own all his books, and he's amazing. And he called me, and he said, hey, how come your Kindle book isn't out? I went to buy your book, and there's no Kindle book available. And he only buys Kindles because he doesn't want to have to haul around a bunch of books. Yeah. And I said, well, I'm not going to release it until April for National Poetry Month. So I went and I converted the book, and it came out maybe 3 or 4 days before March ended. So I called him up and I said, hey, the book's out. Go get it and leave me a review. You for harassing me, you owe me that much. So I was joking. Yes. Yeah, I was joking, right? So he goes and gets the book, and I get a notification from Amazon that there's a review on my book. So I go and I look, and it says right on the page, #1 in hot new releases. And I was like, wow. I mean, they put a little flag on there. It was for the Kindle, and I was completely flabbergasted. I didn't realize that would happen. So I read the review, which was beautiful, and I was so excited. So I then scrolled down the bottom of the page and looked and saw that my book was #2 in Asian poetry. And let me explain something to people. My book is not written in Japanese, and it is not technically Asian poetry. But when you publish a book, they ask you to choose the categories that it best fits in. And ever since I have been writing haiku poetry and publishing books with haiku poetry, I've always chosen poetry, Japanese as my categories. And then it kicks it into automatically Asian poetry. And I also choose women authors because you're usually allowed to choose 2 categories. When I do that, it is not because I'm trying to mislead people and let them think that this is a foreign language book. It is because it follows a format of a traditional Japanese poem, and Japanese poetry is Asian poetry. So that I just want people to understand that. Well, that's not a very highly competitive category. Not meaning to say my book isn't any good. My book is great, so look at the book. But when it said hot new release #1, it had been that since the day it came out, and it was there for like a week or so. And I had a friend of mine the night before Easter checking the stats with me every hour because they update between the top of the hour and quarter after. And I said, do me a favor. I'm going to bed. Check the stats. And if you see it, that it's #1, take a photograph of that page, please. Well, she checked it at 12:30 in the morning. Nothing had happened. She went to bed. I get up Easter Sunday morning, took my shower, got my breakfast, sat down. First thing I did was I went to Amazon, and it said #1. So somewhere between 1 o'clock in the morning and 10 o'clock in the morning on Easter Sunday morning, it became the #1 bestseller. So I took a photograph of the page, and then I refreshed it, and it was back to #2 again. I mean, that's how quickly this can change. So I call Amazon, and I actually called Create Space first, and I said, how can I get that little sticker? And she said, they don't do that anymore. And I said, and when will they send me my letter telling me I had a #1 bestseller? She goes, they don't do that anymore. And I was kind of disappointed because I thought, well, that's really crazy. How else would I have known? And the Create Space customer service said, unless you were sitting on that computer staring every hour at those stats, you wouldn't have known. And it's kind of a big disappointment for a lot of people, you know. It's like nobody's got the chops to stay up 24 hours a day. I'm not that young. I'm not 16 anymore. I can't stay up 24 hours a day like that.
Well, not a spring chicken anymore either. No, I'm not that young myself to stay up 24 hours to see this. But I am amazed that, okay, you guys, I am publishing Simply Series with a publisher because I'm so sick and tired of doing the conversion and doing everything else. And so I'm so sick and tired of Create Space. And I thought, unbeknownst to me, I guess, I thought they pulled half their division of Create Space where they could help you publish a book. I heard on Grapevine, and I'm going to ask Annette this because she was recently in there, and I heard that they pulled all the people behind their VIP publishing services. Now, did they? Were you actually speaking to a person in the U.S. of it? Or
well, yes, I was. And here's what happened. Kindle Direct Publishing has now taken over what Create Space used to do, which is you used to be able to hire Create Space to format your book, edit your book, design your cover, and publish it for you. You used to be able to hire them. They used to say, call us and we'll give you a quote. If you are doing that all yourself, which I do that all myself, and you used to be able to hire them to convert it to Kindle. I do all that all myself, so I never hired them to help me with any of that. They no longer do that. That is now a function of Kindle Direct Publishing. Kindle Direct Publishing, Amazon, and Create Space are all the same company, but they are branches of the same company. Like most people don't know that Pepsi-Cola owns Taco Bell and Kentucky Fried Chicken. Most people don't know that. But if you walk into a Kentucky Fried Chicken or a Taco Bell, the only soft drinks you can get are Pepsi-Cola products. They own it, but there's nowhere around there that says the parent company of Kentucky Fried Chicken or Taco Bell is PepsiCo. But if you look it up on the stock market, you will see it's very much. So, yes, Create Space did close those divisions of their company that you could hire to do the work for you. However, they still have customer service for the people that do it themselves, and it still is available 24 hours a day, and they are still phenomenal people. And I have spoken with their higher-ups. I've asked for the opportunity because they said, would you like to talk to our management? I said, yes, I would, way back before they completed the transformation. And I said, I think it's a horrible idea that you do this. I said, I have dealt with people at KDP. They are not as knowledgeable as your people are. I said, I have a couple brain cells that figured it out, so I have a little more knowledge than the average duck. I said, but for the person who doesn't know what they're doing, KDP at the time was not knowledgeable enough to help them. And they weren't knowledgeable enough to help me a couple times. And I thought, I was asking very simple questions. I said, so I personally don't want to see you make this change. Well, they made it anyway. They were in process, but they thanked me, for my honesty, and they thanked me for my words that I took the time. So as of right now, at the beginning of April, you could no longer hire Create Space to put your books together for you. However, KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, which only did the ebooks, now you go there, and like Lulu, which is another company entirely, you can actually go to Kindle Direct Publishing and publish a paperback book and order copies. They weren't going to do that. They hadn't set that up yet. I mean, it was a huge mess. It was a huge train wreck. And they finally got it together, and they do have people working for them that have knowledge. I have had to deal with them, and they were very polite, and they knew what they were talking about. I have not asked them every question, but the questions I asked they could answer. So we'll see. We'll see how responsive they are. We'll see how competent they are.
We'll see what happens to Create Space. And after a month and a half of being off Create Space, you guys, I finally bit the bullet and went on there last night. Of course, I got zero sales, which as Annette knows, when you self-publish a book, and when I'm coming to find out in the traditional publishing field, the traditional publishing field won't give you as much support as I thought they did, because they have 1,001 other books that they're trying to support. So you still have to do the marketing of these books on your own. And so what I'm going to do is team up with a publisher who's good at SEO, and I promise you that book is going to sell like hotcakes, or so I hope. But I'm going to do the marketing, and I think the SEO is search engine optimization, for those of you who just went over your head. And I think the SEO is going to be better on this book than it's ever been in my publishing career. And trust me, I've been at this for 70 years, and I call myself a professional writer because I have to do it on my taxes. I mean, they're sending me tax forms like this, tomorrow of you made $45 or something ridiculous like that, but you still have to prove it to the IRS.
Yeah, I believe that understanding search engine optimization is key for people, for anything they're doing, whether they're writing an article on their blog, whether they're just looking up something they're interested in, or they are promoting themselves in whatever field they work in. They could be artists, jewelry makers, they could be singers, they could be authors. Getting yourself at the top of the first page of a Google search is huge. If you Google search your name and you are somebody who is involved in media, writes and publishes like Win and I do, if you Google search your name and you do not fill up a whole page, there's something wrong. You should have yourself, and this is in addition to this is what makes the SEO work for us, is that you stay active in social media, you stay active in blog posting, you stay active in interviews. I mean, any chance you get to put out some bit of publicity for yourself. And people think that it's a whole lot easier when they have like Random House or Simon & Schuster or somebody. I mean, these are huge publishing houses with them. But I read something not that long ago where Stephen King, when his books come out, he still pays out of his own pocket $250,000 per book to promote it. That just because he's got an agent and a publisher, I mean, his name will sell a book. Stephen King can say, "Oh, big yawn. I'm going to write another book. It'll be out next year." In other words, he's yawning his way through that announcement, right? It'll be out next year, and there will be pre-orders that will just go on forever. From the moment somebody hears him give that little sleepy statement, pre-orders will set up, and his company will send him, based on the pre-orders, his first royalty check before the book's even drafted. But what people won't get is if that book fails. If that book fails, he has to give that money back. He has to give that money back.
Advance that, yes.
Yeah, in advance. Actually, it's what they used to call draw against commission. They'll give you the money, but once you hit the commission level where you've earned it, then everything goes to straight commission. But if that book flops for any reason, he has to give that money back. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, it's name recognition, which is great, which helps to optimize the search engine optimization, not meaning to be redundant. But you've got to stay active. You've got, like Wynn does her podcast, Wynn's on social media. You know, if you weren't out there where people could hear your name and see it all the time, we couldn't do the Google searching and find you on that front page of where your name would be. So it takes a long time to do that, but people have to do that. They have to.
Yeah. I'm more active on Twitter than I am on Facebook because I just explained that one this morning, and I've been invited on a podcast, you guys, out of the UK, thank you very much, the bestseller experiment, and I have been asked why I decided to take my podcast off of Facebook as of June 1. I will still be active on Twitter. I will still have it on Spotify, but I'm taking my podcast off of Facebook, off of automatically putting it on Facebook as of June 1 because of the Cambridge Analytica thing. And right now, Mr. Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg, is testifying on the Hill as of yesterday, today, and I believe tomorrow. And I don't want to be involved with those quizzes and those, I don't want to be involved with Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg can actually go with his tail between his legs and say I'm sorry as many times as they want. So speaking of SEO, you won't necessarily find me on Facebook as much as you did, but that's my choice and it's my recommendation that you guys do not do those quizzes or do not do anything on Facebook because I'm actually trying to start a movement with all the disabled community for us to get off Facebook so that Mark can see how he impacted SEO because of what he did.
Well, it sounds like you're going to be very busy because there's a lot of people that are wanting to find support, guidance, and direction for their choices. And there's a lot of people leaving. I've noticed daily that, you know, a friend will drop here, a friend will drop there, a couple members will drop here and there. I don't take any offense to it because I know people are moving around. They're deciding to leave. And everybody's got their reasons, so I get that. But I think that the biggest thing is that we have to take responsibility for our choices as to where we spend our time, where we spend our energy, how much of our personal information we are willing to allow everybody access to. So if people feel compromised or threatened by things that are happening in social media, by all means, they have to make themselves comfortable. And if they're not comfortable, there's no point being involved in it.
Yeah, no, and I'm super not comfortable with Russia sign on my Facebook data. So I'm out of Facebook, you guys. For those of you who listen, and this podcast will be coming out on next Wednesday. And so for those of you guys who click the link on all these podcasts and anonymously use small Facebook, you won't be able to find me on Facebook nor my podcast. And that's my choice, and I'm ready to take it public, and I'm ready to explain why I do that. Also, Facebook changed the algorithms before Cambridge Analytica, and they made it quite hard for us authors to promote our book pages. For those of us who have Facebook pages, Facebook goes yucky big chewy on Facebook pages. We like family and friends better. Well, those of us who want to keep books separately have a heck of a hard time having keeping books separately from the personal profiles, because Facebook goes, we like personal profiles more than we like business pages. And now I know, Annette, you have a huge blog that thousands and thousands of people follow, me included. And so are you doing that on a business page, or are you doing that on a personal profile, or how does that work?
I have a couple of different pages. I have one that I started back when I did my own blog talk radio show called Perspective Power. And it doesn't, I update it every single day. I put something on the Perspective Power page. It's not a page that I promote that much. The page that I promote the most is my Annette Rochelle Aben Communicates page, which is strictly business in regards to the fact that it promotes my writing, it promotes my podcasts and things of that nature. So that I do keep very current and put information about my books on there. That is a business page for me. I have many more followers just on my personal page, but that I've got, like, my family doesn't really participate on my business page, and my cousins, I'm just their goofy cousin, so they don't bother going over there. But if I promote something in another venue, for instance, Twitter, LinkedIn, which I'm very active in both of those, extremely active on Twitter, I refer them back constantly to the Annette Rochelle Aben page. So yeah, it's I don't go there and say go buy my books, but I do put up the covers. I do let people know when I've published a book and so forth. I have noticed what's happened with a lot of people's business pages. I guess the thing is that I take advantage of every opportunity, however small, what may seem to be insignificant, to keep my name in the forefront for the people who will see it on those pages or in those venues. So if I only have a handful of people that monitor me on Facebook, but I have thousands that monitor me on Twitter and hundreds that monitor me on LinkedIn, it isn't always the same people, but I get the information out and around on all of those pages simply because somebody will see it, and when they go to do the search engine optimization, as I said, the Google search, I'll come up on LinkedIn. I'll show up on Twitter. So I guess the only parts of social media where you won't find me are Snapchat, Instagram, and I'm trying to think, there was one other one that I saw the other day, and I was like, oh, really? Come on, seriously? But that is because I don't own the type of equipment that would put me there. I don't have a smartphone. I don't intend on getting one. So I don't have the ability to hit a selfie stick and say, hey, here's, boom, what I'm doing now, or here's, and hit Instagram with it. So I don't even bother with it.
And I actually deleted my Instagram because the only reason why I did that is because my Instagram wasn't packing a powerful punch, and also it's owned by Facebook. So there we go again. there we go again. Social platform that I don't want to be involved with because it's owned by Facebook, and Facebook goes yucky patooey on self-published authors. They did that a long time ago, and now they're going yucky patooey on let's have data bleach and let's not tell anyone. So that's why I'm not involved with anything that Facebook owns. And if it happens with Twitter, I'd be off Twitter in 2 seconds flat. And if it happens with LinkedIn, I'll be off LinkedIn in 2 seconds flat too. So that's where I stand, and I'm ready to take this fight publicly. I'm ready to not only mention it on my podcast, but mention it during interviews given to me by other people. And so, Annette, how could people find your latest book, and how could people keep it at number one? Because I know keeping it at number one is hard as hell, and excuse my language, but it is. I won't say hard as heck because we know, Annette and I both know how hard publishing a book is, because we put our blood, sweat, and tears, and sometimes financials into this. And so mainly our blood, sweat, and tears into this. And we have to sit down at the computer and write and do all this stuff. And then we have to promote this book. And then we have to keep it somewhere at number one. So how can people find the book, and how can people keep it at number one?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for that. If you go to Amazon and you type in my name, Annette Rochelle Aben, I have an Author Central page there, which will come up, but it's basically Amazon.com/author/Annette Rochelle Aben, A-B-E-N, and my Author Central page pops up, and every single book that I have published, both paperback and Kindle, should show up there. And then there are a couple of compilation books I'm in that also show up because of a couple short stories that I've written. Not the books we've referred to, but other books, which are fine, and that's just great. But the majority of the books, the dozen books, the 12 that I have published, show up there. So please go and check that out. You can also go to AnnetteRochelleAben.wordpress.com, which is my blog, and I've been doing that now for about 4 years, and links to everything are there, links to my book, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest. I'm huge on Pinterest. All the links are on my blog, so you can go to the blog, or you can literally just go to the Google search and type Annette Rochelle Aben, A-B-E-N-N,
yeah, you can,
and it'll pop up. I mean, it'll just boom, everything will show up there, yeah.
You can probably just go to Google and type in Win, W-I-N, Kelly, K-E-L-O-Y, Joel. I'm all over the place except for Facebook and except for Instagram, and I'm sorry that those of you that follow me on Instagram and follow me on Facebook can't find me anymore, but I explained why, and I figured I might as well explain why with Annette, because she has a business page, and so she knows, she's been in it more than I do, and so she knows what's going on, and that doesn't live under law. And so, and we all know what's going on at Capitol Hill right now, and Monk Zuckerberg, and this will go on for about, I would say, a good 2 years now, because Monk Zuckerberg did a data breach of over 1,000 people. I don't know how many people have Facebook profiles, but me, you can't find me on Facebook, but everywhere else you can. Just Google my name and something will pop up. I Come a Win will probably pop up. And please, 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 please leave a review for Annette's book, and please leave a review for I Come a Win, because that would make both of us very happy, and that will make the Cookie Monster and Amazon very happy. Keep Annette's book at number one. I tried to keep Annette's book at number one, and try to keep my book as visible as it can be. I mean, my book has been out for 7 years now, so I don't think we can get my book to number 1 again, but we can try, and the only thing you guys can do is leave a review on Annette's book, my book, any independent published book you find, and it will say published by Creative Space, by the way. And so before I let Miss Annette go, I want Annette to ask me several questions about anything, about writing books, about cerebral palsy, anything her real heart desires.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. I guess the first question that I would ask is, do you consider yourself disabled, and if not, why?
Why? Why? No, I consider myself a completely, semi-able-bodied woman, not a completely able-bodied woman, but I consider myself, I use my disability as my gift, not the way that people think I do. I share my story out in public so that people can understand cerebral palsy, and I'm sharing my story now because I'm a journalism student at the Academy of Arts. Thank you very much. A huge shout-out goes out to them for treating me as if I didn't have a disability. That's one of the things that they are working on, is treating all their students, disabled or not, equally. And so they're working with me on finishing up my journalism degree. I mean, one class needed to be switched because I couldn't physically do it, even though it was online. I couldn't physically do fashion drawing because of my physical disability. So they said, okay, we can switch you into a podcasting class, which I am passing, by the way. And so they've been great. Harmona Hollett, my advisor, has been great. So look up the Academy of Arts if you guys are interested in film, television, gaming, drones, everything fashion journalism, which is the program I'm in, which is huge. And they actually give new undergraduates, ton of money to start their dream career. I mean, I've gotten scholarships. I've gotten scholarships. I just applied for another one, which the non-new undergraduate students can apply for, and so I'm applying for that one, and so we'll see if I get it. But I've gotten scholarships. I am also on staff too, so that helps. So the Academy of Arts has been wonderful to me. So if you guys are looking for journalism and copywriting and writing, I don't think they offer complete writing. I know they offer journalism, but so the Academy of Arts has been wonderful. So to answer Annette's question, do I consider myself disabled? No, but I'm using my disability as my superpower.
I like that. And so the next comment or question that was floating around in my head was, what advice would you give to somebody who fits the technical term of disabled, through the government's eyes, medical community's eyes? And I think you just answered it. It's not a disability, it's a superpower.
It's a superpower. I use cerebral palsy as a superpower for a long time now. But when it comes down to dealing with government, like Medicaid, and dealing with all the other entities for the disabled, I don't use my superpower as a superpower. I use my disability to my advantage, to my advantage. We don't tell anyone that. And so I have to be really careful when you're on Medicaid, they look at your paycheck like every couple months, and you only have to make a certain amount to work. And yeah, so I kind of use my disability to my advantage when I use my disability to a superpower. It serves me better.
But I think that's important for people to understand. You have an issue. It's called cerebral palsy, but you are not disabled. You are, someone who has to be connected to and concerned with, your physical health and what options and opportunities may be out there for you so that you can live a happier, healthier, more productive life. But I think that was where my thoughts were going, and you addressed it so eloquently. You're a woman with cerebral palsy, but you are a person and a writer and an author and an artist and so forth first. And your superpower just happens to be cerebral palsy. So I think that's pretty important, and it's very powerful, because most people would say, oh, I'm a so-and-so with such and such, and blah, 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 blah. And I think that's kind of backwards.
No,
and I don't think it helps.
That's completely backwards. You should, if you can, use your disability as a side note and use it as a superpower. And then when it comes down to dealing with the government entities, use your disability to your advantage. Say, I'm disabled and I need help, and accept that help when people want to give it to you. I mean, I've got my program halfway paid because of I accepted help from a government entity, and like you know, this is up until last year, and they said we can pay for your program. I'm like, yes, please, yes, please. So I accepted the help, and they paid partially for my program, and I love them dearly for it. I don't know how long it's going to last, but we'll see. But I accept help when I need help. But basically, I use my disability as my superpower.
Very good. Very good. That was the burning question that was on my heart. So thank you so much for that. That's
well, you're welcome for that, and thank you, Miss Number One best-selling author. Geez, how long is it going to take you? 10 years? Geez, it took you about 10 years to make it. So please, everyone, try and keep Annette at number one. She'll be really happy if you do, and I know she will be sharing this episode out. So please go search for haikus on Amazon and go to Annette Rochelle Aben.wordpress.com and find everything there. And please share the book with your friends. Take a screenshot of it, post it on Twitter, tag, and then do whatever you have to keep her at number one. I'll try to keep her at number one. I don't. Amazon changes so quickly. I don't think we can keep anyone at number one, but at least for 24 hours we can keep people at number one. But
absolutely,
number one status is terrific in my eyes, and I'm so happy that you finally made it to number one. I was waiting for that. I'm like, and that's got to make it to number one somehow. And because I made it to number one with my original book, and so I'm hoping to make it to number one again. I'm actually editing, fun joys of editing my latest book. Actually, my two latest books as we speak. One of them is going to be self-published, I know this, and then the other one is going to be, I hope, published with the publishing house. That ought to be interesting, me published with the publishing house, me published with Big Boys now, but that's because of all the work I've done previously. Now I think I'm ready for it. And so we'll see if a nice agent picks me up and gives me the advance. But I know I have to write the book, and I know there's parameters around that. And I know I have to write the book and sell the book before it even comes out. Otherwise, I have to give the advance back, which I don't want to do. So I know there's parameters around that advance. So we'll see what happens. But I thank Annette for coming on and sharing her story and inspiring you guys to go out there and write. And I'm always inspiring you guys to go out there and write. And I thank you, Annette, and we'll have all Annette's information in the show notes. Thanks to you guys. Bye.
Bye.